Welcome to True Tall Tales, when reality is stranger than fiction. My name is Sunny Boy, and welcome to another episode of Triple T. Now, we have a guest that we've had on the show before, all the way from Vancouver, Canada. A lot of our listeners and myself loved her stories last time, so I always, anytime I invite a guest on the show, if the listeners like them, I always get them back, and Tess has many stories, so welcome back to the show, Tess.
Thank you.
So good to see you there in Vancouver. Sunny summer over there right now with all your lovely gardens around you. You look like you're in your happy place. How are you, most importantly?
Just planted all these new plants on my garden. So I'm literally sitting on my balcony with all my new plants. Very happy. Bought a bike yesterday. Couldn't be happier. Vancouver is hot though. It feels like summer in Sydney in the fall. Like, kind of at the end of the summer in Sydney, it's 40 degrees in the city right now. But that doesn't happen.
Wow, so just shows you. See, there's just I feel like there's something going on with we'll go straight into our content because this show's about, telling true tall tales. But I just want to say, it's funny you're saying that because I watched the news, this morning, and like you're saying, Canada's 40 degrees. It never happened. I feel like it's raining in every single country around the world right now. There's like extreme tornadoes. Miami's underwater right now. There's war going on around the world. Ex-President Trump got assassinated tried to get assassinated, I should say, 5 days ago. Biden, 3 days later has gone to her hospital and he's got COVID. And yesterday I was on my computer, and every single computer around the world shut down. Happened in New Zealand and Australia first, where a blue screen come up and all the banks are down, all the airlines are down. And I was like, oh my God, is this a cyber attack? It's just a lot. So if you said to me, how are you right now, Sunny? I'd be like, you know what? There's a lot going on. It feels like I'm living in a really weird reality, and there's just no time to breathe. There's just a lot going on. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I second that 100%. It's like everyone's asking each other, like you said, how are you doing? And it's like surviving. But my question is always, are you surviving or thriving? Like, to all my friends, I'm like, are you surviving or thriving? Because I'm like, if you're thriving, then something's going good. You've got a new job, you've got some things happening, but otherwise most of us are just surviving. And when all these events, like you just said, are happening, I feel like we're just surviving. People that are in the elections right now in the States, like, they're just surviving through this election. And with the heat here in Vancouver, it's actually insane. For the last 10 days, we've had it over 30 degrees every single day. It's not common here in regular times, but also because the forest fires are coming down, as you guys have in Australia too. 38 forest fires started within the last day, and 39 the day before. Like, this is insane. When I was growing up, it was like maybe 5 forest fires started a day. Somebody threw a cigarette butt. Some, bush got too dry, whatever. But nowadays, it's nuts. And so just getting through it, this is also why I'm planting so many new plants in my little garden, as you've seen, because it's going to be so hot, and I want a little bit of the natural things that cool things down, that help also the environment to like give a little bit of my barrier,
Very true, and everyone loves a good house plant, and they're probably loving all that sun. I mean, look, you say it's 40 degrees, 30. As you know, I met you in Australia. That's normal for us Aussies. I love the hot weather. But
I was saying to my friend the other day, I was like, this is a Sydney fall. Like, this feels like it was like in the autumn for you guys. That's like hot is still common, but like for us, this is like a Sydney fall, and that is like 40 degrees. So for the people that I see doing construction, doing like gardening, doing outdoor work, I'm like, holy fuck, good for you. Like, that's a feat that we haven't learned how to deal with yet here in Canada, and people are getting heat stroke every day. Like, 3 servers the other day, one had heat stroke before coming to work, one got heat stroke at work, and one got like dizzy working on the patio and almost passed out. She vomited in the staff room and had to go home.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. It's just like funny when there's like, you got countries where Canada's a cold country, not used to the hot weather. Like, you've lived in Australia, so you know where they're like vomiting, like shaking in the corner.
You're very hot. Like, yeah, just calm the fuck down. These girls are from Ukraine though, and they're like, I can't. Like, this is so much hotter than I've ever felt in my entire life. They're like shaking and like vomiting in the staff room. I'm like, holy fuck, are you okay? Like, no, I have my period, I'm on painkillers, and the sun is too much. I'm like, holy, that might be too much for you. Yeah, go home.
So, as you know, for the listeners and yourself, the rules of the show is anyone that comes on to True Tall Tales, you talk about your True Tall Tales, true stories. It's unfiltered. I don't know what Tess is going to be talking about. That's how we do the show. So it is all natural for the listeners hearing it for the first time and myself. Tess, you're on the show. You've been here before. Lovely to have you back. Take it away and fill me in.
Okay, so the first one I'm going to tell you about is my old boss. And I feel like it's long enough in between jobs that you can kind of talk about it. I have many coworkers from this restaurant, and many of them obviously know the stories and probably have equally as good content. But for the listeners, I'll give you a little backdrop. I used to be a bartender when I was 25. I was a bartender / bar manager at this one bar called, well, I guess I can't say because it's online, but anyways, it's in Victoria, Canada, like Victoria, BC, Canada. So it's on the island, and it's right on the inner harbor where all like the tourist area is. Very much like Bondi in Sydney, very much like where Bondi Pizza used to be. It's like in that kind of same zone of being right along where tourists have a promenade to walk. So the first restaurant they're going to come up to is like the place I worked at or anywhere along Bondi. So it's very much in that zone. And at the time, the owner of the restaurant had a condo and still has a condo above the restaurant. So there's like a big building, and he owns 3 restaurants within the same like big building, and his condo is above the top. So it often meant that like he would be living in his condo. Oops, I dropped my phone. And then he would come down for like snacks, let's say. So painting the picture, he's like an older man at the time in his mid 50s to late 50s. It's like, let's say 57 kind of, turning 60.
It's not that old. That's not as old as I was picturing him. Like 57 is like J-Lo. J-Lo's hot.
Exactly. This guy's not hot. So like he kind of looks like a cross between like a Greek and an Italian at age 57. Like pretty greasy, wears like an open deep neck shirt, lots of chest hair, mid-length hair, doesn't care about really the hair situation. Not
Gold
much
necklace?
Yes.
Gold
100%.
necklace?
You know, he's got multiple though. He's got 1 or 2 or 3 maybe. And like a dog chain with something on it, probably his like ex-wife's birthday or whatever. The fuck, he's got like 4 ex-wives. He's the classic like drunk middle-aged restaurateur that's a dick, essentially. So at the time, I was the bar manager, as I said, and I would be closing in there by myself. I lived literally 4 blocks up the street. So like closing was no problem. Even if I was there till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, on the busy night, Saturday, Sunday, we'd close at 1:30, or sorry, Friday, Saturday, 1:30 close. So by the time you're done all the bar stuff, it'd be like, 2:30, 3 o'clock. And it would always be on the wasted night, like on the busy nights, on the weekend nights. Also sometimes on a Tuesday or Wednesday though, or a Monday, Sunday, whatever. He would be upstairs in his condo and get wasted and then come downstairs in his bathrobe. And so in his bathrobe, obviously, what do you wear under a bathrobe?
Nothing, right?
Exactly. Or like underwear or like your pajamas. Like I'm a chick, so I wear like a top, maybe in my shorts. But a man, you're never wearing a shirt. It's not your pajamas. You're going to have like your Calvin Klein boxers or whatever the fuck, your Saks, something.
Wait, can I just paint a picture for myself and the listeners? Is this like an Italian Greek restaurant? Is it posh? Is it like mediocre? Is it bar? Because from someone to walk in their dressing gown into any bar or restaurant would look like a crazy person.
If you're wasted coming down from your condo and you're just like going through the back stairs, like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get a glass of wine. But it was like very common. He would get into like a very drunk state, like a wasted state, but like probably blackout state. I would say like, I don't know, we've all been there, but like the blackout state where you kind of know what you're doing and you're somehow not stumbling, but like you can't remember it the next day. But this was like so common, I can't even stress. But when I started there, I was like immediately promoted within like 2-3 months to be like kind of in charge, holding keys, doing whatever. And people would be like, oh, just ignore me. Oh shit, I'm using the name. Edit that out. I guess the first name doesn't matter, but I can't say the restaurant or the last name because I probably will get sued. He's highly litigating. He loves to sue. So if he ever sees this podcast, he will sue me.
Oh, shit. Well, okay, I'll beep out the name. You didn't say the last name. You haven't said the name of the restaurant.
Yeah. The restaurant name either, but it's a pretty small town. So if people want to Google, go ahead and Google. This guy's a fucking terrorist as far as litigation goes, and he's sued so many. So I'm not having it. But anyways, he's also sued like 2 of my friends that are servers and chefs from that same restaurant, and we're still all good friends, but they have NDAs, so I can't mention that either.
Is he like really wealthy, or does he just own this one bar? Who has enough money to sue servers? Like, what the fuck?
Very wealthy. And so it's a farm to table restaurant. And so it's like very West Coast. Like it's I wouldn't say it's Italian or Greek or anything. It has no like real like I wouldn't say it has a culinary theme, but like farm to table for West Coast dining. So you're talking like just like the carrots that we get, or like the, you know, let's say produce, or like farm to table chicken, whatever. It's very expensive also for that exact reason. But the point is, he's wealthy. And he used to kind of just like act like this is whatever. It's like his living room going downstairs into the So I'd be like bartending and closing the bar, and he'd come down often and just like have a glass of wine, but he'd be in his bathrobe. But the one time I'm telling you the story about is like, we got used to it. I got used to it quickly within 6 months, being like, oh, fuck, this idiot's here. He's got his bathrobe on. He wants a 9-ounce glass of wine, whatever. I'll just give him the 9-ounce glass of wine, and he'll kind of just like pass out and then like take a couple of swigs of the wine and then pass out again and then just take a couple more swigs of the wine. And then sometimes he'll talk to people at the bar, and they're like, what is going on with this man? And
Well,
I'm
I
like,
got a question. Does he live in the condo by himself, or does he have like a wife and kids there and stuff?
by himself.
Okay, by himself, got the picture. Okay, so he's drunk walking in. Do you think he's naked underneath the robe? Does he have shoes on or slippers?
No, he was, well, I'll get to that, but he was naked for the robe. And most of the time slippers, yes, but sometimes not in the wasted night that I'm telling you about. So This particular night, it's been now common to me that he like comes down in his robe, wasted, and sometimes I'll hear a sound when I'm closing. I have like one guest at the bar after last call, and I'm like taking a payment. I'm, you know, shutting stuff down, melting the ice well, whatever. And I hear like...
Hang on, Tess. That car's so noisy in the background for the listeners and I. The car whatever that car is, it keeps going past, and it's very bassy, very noisy. It's gone now. I can't hear it.
Okay. Sorry, there was a truck idling out there. Gone now?
It's just very noisy. Yeah, it's gone now.
Okay, so...
You have to say that again.
Okay, so this particular night, he's not wearing slippers. And I hear like a noise in the kitchen, and I'm like a deep fryer. I'm like, what the fuck? The chefs have been gone for 2 hours. Like we've been done food service for like ages. Why is there somebody like the sound of like a cutting board and like deep frying and like food being cooked? I'm like, what the fuck? And he's just back there like, oh, just wasted. He's cooking himself chicken wings. He's got a steak in the oven. He's like just making himself a meal. He's cutting up like, I don't even know what he was cutting up, kale, but he probably thought it was like basil or something. Like makes himself the most manic food, and then comes over with the food to the bar and is like, oh, like I'm so hungry. I need to like sit here. I'm gonna eat my wings. And I'm like, okay, like I can't say no. This guy signs my paychecks. He's like the owner. But also he's wearing a bathrobe, and it's like precariously open. I'm like, okay, already this is sus. And there's a guest at the bar that's like, is he okay? And I'm like, he's fine. It's not your problem. And they're like, are you going to be okay in here closing with this guy? I'm going to be fine. I'm like 25 though at the time, so I'm like a young gal, but also I know how to handle this fucker. And he lives upstairs. So if I have to kick him out, I'm just going to leave and lock the doors and just like fuck off. If he falls asleep on the bar, it's not my problem. If he drinks like the entire bottle of wine or 2 or 3, it's not my problem. If he vomits and dies, not my problem. So again, now Mike's sitting there eating chicken wings all fucking wasted. And as you are, he's wasted on a bar stool. What do you think is happening with his bathrobe? Everything's
it's slipping
open.
Down?
Yeah,
oh,
everything's
no.
opening. The robe is like untying, and like more of the chest is coming out. Everything's happening there. And I'm like, he's sitting at the end of the bar. If you can picture like a horseshoe bar, I'm at the well and all the guests sit around it. And then you kind of like walk around and serve them. So he's at the very end, closest to where I work. And so if you look over to my right, I can see everything from the bar stool up. And so I'm just like, balls. Like that's the first thing I saw.
Oh no, so he is naked underneath the robe, and he's got his legs open eating chicken wings in the restaurant oh my God, this just sounds like sauce. Like he's so wasted that it's like when you get a kebab at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? And it's going up the side of your face and his balls are hanging out. Oh, so the customers can see the balls?
No, only I can at this point, okay? And he starts to like kind of like he's eating the chicken wings and like talking, trying to talk to me and the guest and drinking the wine. I'll have more wine as he's like gesturing. He's got his wine glass, being like, I'll have more, and a wing in the other hand, and his balls are now out. His dick's starting to fall out. Because you know how the robe can kind of cover, like a man's bathrobe goes kind of far down. So it's kind of just starting to see, and he's slipping off the bar stool though. So I'm just starting to see a little, one ball at a time, one little bit of the tip, a little bit. And I'm like, okay, oh my God. I'm trying to close so fucking fast at this point. You have no idea. And I'm like, Kate, the guest is like concerned for me. Like, are you going to be good? I'm like, yeah, we just need to get out of here right now. Slam your beer back, get out. So once you're gone, I can leave and close the door. Within like the 5 minutes, I told the guest that. She slams her beer back. She's like a regular customer. She leaves, and he just like proceeds to like, once she's gone, just like pass out on the bar, like with his wine glass in hand. And he goes, I'm like, here. So have a good night. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And as I go, he goes, give me the bottle of wine that you have open for me. So I pass him the 3/4 bottle of wine into his left hand, and then he's got in his right hand the glass of wine. In the middle of him, a plate of chicken wings with like Brussels sprouts and like half of a steak that he's just like been eating off of a fork, like it's a fucking stabbing thing to eat. So chaotic. And then I just leave. I've already seen your whole dick. I've already seen everything fall out. I've already seen you.
No. Wait, did you feel safe being a 25-year-old, girl sitting in a workplace where he is the owner and he is basically naked in the restaurant and it's only you two in the restaurant and now the door's locked and there is no witness? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a kind of bad situation. But then again, it is your boss and it is drunk and you've known him for ages. So I get it from your side where you're like, it's gross, but like I just...
Ages? That's like birth by fire. Like 3 months is not a long time to know somebody, to be like drunk and wasted in that presence. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I didn't feel like unsafe because he's too wasted to do anything to me myself. But at the same time, I was like, what if he just passes out in his plate of chicken wings or like chokes on something while he's eating in the middle of the night? You know, my dad passed away choking. So
yeah.
But this also, I don't care about this dude. He's a fucking dick. And he's obviously shown me his dick and he gives no fucks about himself. So this is one story. That night I ended up leaving and meeting the customer outside, like who's a regular, and walking up the 4 blocks I lived up to my apartment. But the next day I got an email being like, whoever closed last night, everyone knows it's me. You know who closed. Like, you know who the bar manager is that's closing. Didn't charge for a bottle of wine to a guest. And I was like, wait a second. This is not a guest. This is not a guest. He's demanding fucking chicken wings. He's making his own shit, and he's demanding bottles of wine. Yes, I put the bottle of wine in his hand. Yes, I gave him the glass. And yes, I poured it for him. But, like, I'm not going to charge the owner. So I low-key kind of got in trouble from one of my managers, but I was like, what am I supposed to say in that situation? No. And this was a very common occurrence. It led to me actually leaving this restaurant due to like other things and problems with other servers and bartenders and chefs and everything, because he was absolutely nuts. And he lived upstairs and he would just like eat things in the middle of the night or go to the bar and like drink things whenever he wanted. And it was just the most intense thing. But when I tell this story nowadays, I'm like, I feel like I'm desensitized to the fact that I've seen my own boss's dick like multiple times. Because this is one story where I was just actually alone. It happened many times when I was bartending with a coworker, and she'd be like, you take care of him. It's your turn. And I'd be like, no, it's your turn. Like, we just passed off taking care of him, because this was at 1:00 a.m. that night. But this often happened at like 8 p.m. Like, this dude was a raging alcoholic. So oftentimes it happened at like 8 p.m. where one of us would be like, hey, you have to walk him upstairs. Like, we have to get him off the floor. At 1 a.m., that's okay. I'm not going to like drag him upstairs to his apartment. And that maybe would have made me feel less safe. If I had to like walk him upstairs to his condo in the elevator and be alone with him at 1:00 in the morning in that state, I maybe wouldn't have liked it. But I definitely wouldn't have done it, and I didn't. But in the senses that when my coworker and I were like, okay, you take him up this time. I'm still here. I'm in the bar. Like, she's going to know if I'm gone for 10 minutes. And we all had female managers and GMs all the time. So it was like all females working. And we're like, you as the dude, the owner, the man, are putting all of your female staff that are all managers that you've promoted into this position. And then you want to sue us afterwards because we're not okay with the situations we've been put in. I'm not interested. So now I'm like, your dick stories, it's been 8 years for me since I worked there, but I still hear stuff about people that work at that company. And I mean, my own sister has worked at that company, and I recommended her to work at the company because it's a good restaurant, but the owner is a fucking lunatic. And I don't want to, like, I think it's so desensitized for women to be like, oh, this is just like male behavior, but I'm like, no, it's not. This guy's
not. So Tess, let him sue any of the servers and go to court and speak up being a woman and saying, like, you telling me that story right now. Anyway, if that was in Australia, in any job, if it was hospo, office, that is not okay. You're the owner. It is your responsibility. You're an alcoholic or having a midlife crisis or whatever it is that you're going through. But you should not be walking into a restaurant in a robe, exposing yourself, finishing a shift going, I don't want to see his dick tonight. You take him upstairs. I don't want to see his balls tonight. That should not be a thing that workers should be arguing about. That is not okay.
No, exactly. And I feel like that's why I want to tell the story in a second way, because I feel like other women in my situation, and men too, have been in weird hospitality situations or even just regular situations. But it's also with work, when you have like a power position above you and somebody is telling you like, oh, well, he does it all the time. I'm like, well, I don't think I can take this job if I'm going to be dealing with a drunk owner that like often loses his tip.
I know. Well, yeah, Australia's not a tipping country. We get paid for what we do. So yeah.
Like loses his dick tip.
Oh, shit. Okay, sorry, I missed that. That's hilarious. Well, do you think he's doing it for that reason, or is he just so drunk that he just really... by the sounds of it sounds not making up excuses. If you're just walking... He sounds like Homer Simpson, where he's wearing the muumuu all the time. That's what it sounds like.
Yes, but also you know that your dick is under there, and you know that you have female staff, and you know you live above. If you decide to drink a bunch of glasses of wine, put some sweatpants on before you go make yourself some chicken fingers. Or wings, or whatever.
That's so true. The whole thing sounds gross. Like saucy chicken fingers curled up in the corner with your knob and your balls hanging out of the robe, sitting back, falling off your chair. It's like, if someone took a video or a photo of them, if this went to court, that's the evidence that the lawyer showed and everyone's watching. Like, he will lose the case. Like,
I have videos and pictures of that exact night, but I don't think they're pod content, but you could probably edit them to make it less. I have videos and pictures for that exact reason, because I was like, no way. I will spend the 10 minutes that I need to put this on my phone, videoing him or whatever. And in one of them, it's like me like this on Snapchat with the camera like facing me being like, just another closing night. And I turn the camera around and it's just him passed out at the bar with his face in his spine.
Oh my God.
I have many videos and pictures, so yeah, of course, like you said, he would lose. But it's the fact that like he thinks he can do it, and then I feel like I've boxed it up in my brain, like compartmentalized it. And it's only when other females like tell me about horror stories at their work and that are not related to that restaurant or whatever that I'm like, holy fuck, I do remember stuff like that happening to me. And I've kind of just desensitized myself to it. But this was 8 years ago. So this was like the time where like you kind of didn't speak up. And the few people that did sue him for similar situations or like, felt uncomfortable or brought it up were like, so we're either fired and then sued him for being fired because they're like, no, I don't feel like I should be exposed to this. Or like there was oftentimes I got written up for leaving the deep fryer on. And I was like, no, fuck no. I closed and left the bar completely normal. That motherfucker lives upstairs and he turned all the equipment on. He made a steak, he turned the broiler on, he turned the deep fryer on. He made himself a glass of wine in the bar or a cocktail or whatever and made a mess. That's not on me. So I used to take closing.
Who's the person how come the manager, it should be the manager of the whole venue doing something about it, right?
They better. They cover his lawsuits.
Right, got you. Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. That's not okay for any job to go through. That it's, yeah, like you said, and especially, look, it's just good you got out of there because, look, everyone's got a choice, right? You've been there for 3 months. You're already seeing the owner's balls and dick, and it's not your responsibility to like for a female or male to put themselves in the position for someone to be that drunk where something can happen to them while trying to hide them to put them back into the condo.
Like almost like save their humanity because you don't want them to get exposed. Almost they're already exposed and like vulnerable, or like saving part of his humanity, but also it's like affecting my job performance every single day when I know I'm having anxiety because I'm going to see that motherfucker's balls every time I close the bar on a Friday, Saturday night.
Well, that's sad for him. Where's his best friends, his family? You know, that's where your good friends come in, right? Where they're like, hey, look what's happening to you right now. Like, where are those people in his life? Like, is he a narcissist or anything like that? Like, because you said he's a complete prick. So that's why he's got no one around him. Everyone's like, you know what? You did this to yourself.
I want to talk about because I feel like it's important to bring that to light, but also funny as fuck because I was so desensitized to seeing a random dick at all times. Like, normally, if you walk down a street and somebody exposed themselves to you, that'd be like, I'm calling the child predators, like, or I'm gonna like make a note of that. But it was just so like, it was like every closing bartender was like, this might happen to you, you might see this, it's a brown robe, he'll be wearing slippers, he'll make his own food, make sure you take him back up to his apartment, make sure that you clean up and turn up all the equipment off afterwards. This was part of our closing training. That's fucking nuts to deal with a drunk owner.
Yeah, and you're right. Once you've seen like a genital exposed like that where it wasn't for, you know, what is it called? Consensual foreplay or like, you know, sexual.
Performance, like falling off jeans, then tucking it back in. This is not a Lenny situation.
You cannot get that vision out of your head, can you? Like you're thinking of that dick for days. You poor thing. I feel really bad for you. All right, let's get on the topic of your boss's dick. I feel bad because you're gonna forever have that. Was it circumcised? I'm just joking.
Circumcised, brown, weird, tanned dick. I don't want to see this.
Oh my god, you cracked me up. I've worked in hospital. I know exactly what it's like. So for your
had the same drunk boss, had lunatic fucking boss, but at the same time, I'd rather have a cokehead boss than a drunk boss.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of damage going on there. For your true tall tale, next one, you said you had a true story about your an old housemate or something. Is that correct?
This is a funny one from when I moved into this apartment, or I guess not this one, but my previous one during COVID, right? So COVID was all fucky for everyone. But to continue on with the funny stories, like this one's actually a bit like of a trashy one because we had this one roommate that seemed like. So we rented a house for like it was like 5 bedrooms, and we kind of had like an attic also, and then kind of like a spare room that didn't have like a full ceiling, but a full wall. You know how 3/4 of a wall can kind of be exposed, but it's very like shared rental to like put up a curtain and like a door and like make it feel like it's your own space. So essentially we had 8 people living in our house, and when COVID happened, a lot of these people just like dipped. Because this is like unsafe, or like they were in uni and UBC in Vancouver and stuff, or like, okay, I'm going back to France, I'm going back to Germany, going back to whatever. So the 4 roommates that we had left, and we had 8 bedrooms, 8 spaces to rent, we're like, we need to like find new people to live in this house. One of them that moved in was one of my best friends. His name is, let's call him Jack. He has a dog that I love deeply, and it's like a Siberian Husky, German Shepherd cross. So he's like
so good looking,
beautiful, and pitch like bleach white. It's hard to say. Like a lot of Huskies are not white, but because he was part German Shepherd and a receding gene, he was like every single hair on his body was white. It wasn't like he had like a marking that was black under here. Everything was white. So he was named after the dog White Fang. Remember the show from the 80s?
I think so. I've heard of it. Yeah.
His dog that was like a white Siberian Husky. So he was named after that, and he's like a huge dog. And so I loved this roommate always, and I loved the dog. It was like a perfect combo. Awesome. We have space for it. And then we were like picking up other roommates. And because we have my cat and his big dog, we became like really tight, and we're like, we need to make sure that we can, even though it's during COVID, we need to make sure that we take care of our rental because we need outdoor space for the dog. I need outdoor space for my cat because he's essentially a dog. Like he's outdoor, indoor, but he's like, he behaves like a dog, so he needs to be outside. And him and Fang, the dog, were so bonded. Like my cat would usually attack dogs. Like because he doesn't care if it's a raccoon, a dog, a coyote. If it was Australia, he'd like attack a kangaroo. He doesn't give a fuck. If it's bigger than him, he like wants to fight it. If it's smaller than him, he doesn't care for it whatsoever. He's like, I know I can kill you, so there's no point in me wasting my energy. My cat was like a fight, and him and Fang became like best friends because they just like, the dog was never gonna fight back. He was so sweet, and I would walk them together. I'd have like my cat walking and Fang on the other leash, and they would protect each other. Like, my cat would even defend this dog, like, don't come near this dog, like to a raccoon. I'm like, the dog can take care of himself, bro. Like, you're a 2 foot long cat, like, relax. And they were such bros. So me and Steven were also, Jack, were also very close bros at it. And we were like, we need to move into this new place. So we got this new roommate after taking over our new shared house, a little bit less bedrooms, equally as big of a space, dogs and cats in harmony, me and Jack in harmony, loving the apartment. And it's right on Commercial Drive where I live now. And then we got 2 roommates. Like, I can't even stress the amount of psychopathy that happened afterwards. You never look in your roommate's room. Like, who does that? When they're gone, I'm not like opening their door, like sneaking in, looking in at what they're doing. You just expect, like, they're keeping their room clean, they're taking care of everything, no problem. One day after like 4 or 5 months, I came that this chick just didn't pay us rent on the 1st. And our landlord was up our ass, like, hey, we're short $1,000. Where's this chick's rent? Da da da. And we're texting her, calling her, being like, Jenna, like, what's happening? Like, where's your rent? It's okay if it's a day late. Like, I can cover it for 1 day, but I need to know that you're actually going to send me the money. Otherwise, I'm going to cover it out of my ass and whatever. Be short the money. And she was like, yeah, no problem. I'm at work. She worked at McDonald's. And it was COVID, so we're like, okay, whatever. She just took a random job at McDonald's just to get herself by. It's no big deal. And she also was like a counselor part-time online. So she like had a legit like job from school, but she also was working at McDonald's part-time. But meanwhile, we didn't know this until we had to go into her room. After 2-3 days, we were like, what the fuck? Jenna's not coming back. And like, we don't have her on the sublease. What are we supposed to do? She stopped responding to our texts. The first day she responded, the second day she just like blanked off of me and Jack's text. And so we were like, what the fuck? We were like, we're going to make the executive decision as both of the leaseholders. We're going to go into this room. We had the dog beside us because he's just like always so curious. And my cat as well, because wherever the dog goes, my cat was like, where's that motherfucker going? What's he eating? I want to see what's going on. So behind me and Steve and Jack are the cat and the dog. And as soon as we opened the door, the dog went like this, like you could see the look on his face. He like backed up like 4 paces and was like, what the fuck? And my cat was like, oh, what's in there? Is there something dead in there? Like, my cat and dog's attitude was like opposite. The cat wanted to go in and see what was rotten in there, and the dog was like, oh, fuck no, that's some disgusting shit. We went in there to find. It was like she had been sleeping in the bed that we had provided for her because it was a furnished rental, and just thrown the garbage everywhere around her of McDonald's food garbage for 3 months, Sunny. So this is like she's eaten a burger and thrown half of it after being done with it. I didn't eat a 6-pack of nuggets and just threw it after having the sauce half full. The drinks, it looked like she had thrown a Coca-Cola almost every night from her bedroom into her like food corner is what we called it. It was like the exact, if you're lying in your bed, what you would have just thrown into the corner of your bedroom, that became like her garbage, like a food pile. It was like there was Coca-Cola splashed on the walls. It was like Fruitopia. You could see it was like orange and like brown, so, and all the drink bottles in the bottom. And then these half-eaten burgers, these Happy Meals, these Happy Meal toys were all around her in the bed. Like she had ordered all these Happy Meals after work and like taken the toys out while she's lying in bed and slept with all the toys around her and thrown all the food into the corner. And once she was like decided this room is too dirty, I'm just gonna leave, she has like abandoned the room. And it took me and my roommate and the dog being like, oh, look, the dog didn't want to eat this food, dude. This is how rotten it was. My cat thought this was a litter box. My cat thought it was such a rotten spot that he wanted to go and shit in this area where the food was. So it was like this pile, like an 8-feet pile of McDonald's garbage, and just McDonald's. To
Wait,
the other side.
I've got a question. First of all, I feel a little bit sick
Yeah, me
hearing
too.
this. Like, I can picture it the way you're describing it. I feel sick. Secondly, did she appear this way when you guys interviewed her to take the broom? Because it sounds like an episode of that American show Hoarders, when you walked in and she's just hoarding McDonald's food and rubbish and McHappy Meal toys. And the fact that the dog, when you open the door, was backing away, that's a first sign. It's like when rats run off a boat, the boat's going to sink. If a dog's backing the fuck up, do not go in there. Like, it's actually making me sick. Continue. What was her appearance like? Did she seem dirty?
When the dog first backed, no, because I mean, obviously, no, because I'm not a super judgmental person. I've had, people in my life that have been a little bit more on the fringe of society, but that doesn't mean I would want them to rent with me. But I've also been in a situation where I'm like, fuck, I just need a quick pet-friendly rental. I'll rent a room from anybody. They will accept me as I am in this moment. But who Tess is in the moment of looking at the bottom of my scale of looking for a place, I feel like I'm pretty acceptable. She presented herself in the same way. Like, I'm just in between apartments. Me and my boyfriend broke up. I'm like, I'm a counselor. She was a counselor for a native college. So she's she's Canadian Indigenous, but only halfway. Not that matters. It really doesn't matter if she was Black or white or Asian or really, but just for context, she was a counselor at a Native Indigenous society. And so my roommate, Steven, has a lot of Jack, whatever. Fuck, you can use his real name. It doesn't matter. He was very empathetic to that because he also worked in counseling and psychology at school and da-da-da-da. And they both went to UBC at the past. She was a university grad. So it seemed of course you would think that this would be a good roommate, and she's just in between stuff. COVID is happening. No problem. We also just needed to fill rooms for our empty 5-bedroom house. There was just me and Steven and the 2 dogs, and we needed a property. So we were like, you know what? If we pay $4,000 or $2,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment, if we pay $4,000, we'll get a 5-bedroom apartment, and we can actually have space for the dog and a yard and all this stuff. So it was a good gamble for us because the people that we had in our place beforehand were fantastic and never had a shitty situation. But of course, it can't always stay like that. So when she moved in, it seemed fine the whole time. Every night she interacted with us, we had no idea she was just fucking throwing her McDonald's food against the wall. We would smoke joints in the yard because we had a yard with the dog. We had a fire pit. We'd be out there having joints, having a couple of beers, having drinks with her. She was so chill until the day that she didn't send us rent that day. Both of us just had this little feeling. He came up to my room and knocked and was like, I didn't get the rent. Did she text you? And after that first conversation, he was like, I have a weird feeling. And I was like, me too. Okay. Roommate at the time, Steve.
Wait, can you pause? Can you say that again? You just froze.
Sorry. My roommate at the time, Steven, is gay. So he had just weird, I don't know, I feel like it's almost a female thing where he was like, I don't feel good about this. Did she text you? And I was like, no. So he wanted to go into the room right then and look if she had done a midnight move, because this had happened to us during COVID, before, when all the students had gone home from our last place. He was like, I have a shitty feeling. But she had told us, I was like, no. She texted me saying she's at work until 9 p.m. She's going to send me the rent afterwards. It's still the 1st today. So we can wait until 9 p.m. The landlord is texting us, okay, fine. I can cover it, but I don't want to cover it until she sends me the money. And so both of us agreed, okay, we're not going in the room today. Finally, after 3 days, he was like, fuck it, we're going in the fucking room. And we did go, we found all this shit. And then she stopped responding to all of us and everything. So she cost us a fuckload of money. She forfeited her $400 damage deposit, which to her obviously was nothing. Because I think that she's a serial, not hoarder, like you said, but messy person, or not give a fuck person. She's just gonna go and rent every room from that time until forward and probably in the past and just destroy it. It's not her. She doesn't give a fuck.
So wait, I just got a question. So I always try to put I'm no therapist or anything, but I'm a Libra, so I always try to see both sides of the story, right? And I always think in that context, okay, there's just people who are really messy. Like, I'm a really, really clean person. So, and I know I'm overly clean. It's because of the way I got brought up by my mum. But for her, they can be messy, right? Like, you don't take out the rubbish. You're just fucking lazy and all these things. But to get your Coke and chuck it up the wall and the sauce, like, what is that? Do you think she's a little bit, like, crazy or has, like, mental health or something? Or
I don't understand it. Like, she needs so much therapy, because if you're lying in bed, she was a bit overweight, but also at the same time, she was so like engaging and like so nice and like was willing to like, let's take the dogs for a walk together and smoke a joint. Like, she was such a good roommate otherwise, and then would just like never let us in her room in a way. I think back now and I'm like, that's weird. We used to like leave our bedroom doors open, like, not that I want anyone to go in there.
One second. You have cut out. Hang on. Let's pause for a second. And you have to start that conversation again because your internet cut out, or my internet cut out, but you froze. But go again. I've got you back now.
So my point was, I never felt weird because we always left our bedroom doors open in the apartment, like in the house. Actually, we had a whole house. So all of the roommates, even the other random ones we had, which don't need to be commented on because they were dope, regular random roommates. One of them worked at a gym. One of them was like, a server as well and a bartender. And like, all of us just left the doors and windows kind of open for airflow, but also because it was a shared house and it was summertime and we had dogs and cats, and all the roommates loved the dogs and cats. And she used to walk with me and smoke joints after work because she worked shift work as well. So we would like, even midnight, she'd like finish her shift at McDonald's or something, and I'd be finishing at the Italian restaurant I worked at the time. I'd come home and be like, okay, immediately before I take my shoes off, I'm gonna take the dog and take him, my cat, or whatever, and roll a joint and like go for an hour walk around the drive. And she'd be like, yeah, me too. I'm coming with you. And we'd have like a good chat. And so I never thought like, okay, but she was the roommate that never left her door open. I just thought, okay, she doesn't want pet hair in there. And every other roommate didn't care. Like, we'll vacuum up the pet hair. If you get to have like a cuddle with a dog every once in a while, you're like, fuck it, I'll just like vacuum up the pet hair that comes in. But she was so weird. And after everything, after the day that we found all of her garbage, Steven and I just started to be like, click, 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 click. Of course, she always smoked my weed. She always ate the food that we made at the barbecue. She never bought beers to our outside sessions when in the summertime, we'd have drinks and have the dogs running around. I go to the beach or something. She'd never be the one that brought the drinks. She'd always ask me for a cigarette to bum from. She was always late on rent. She never let us in her room. She never had groceries in the fridge. So, oh my God, it only came to afterwards, I guess that's being dumb and being like 28, 29 when the pandemic happened. But like at that time, I didn't even think about it. I was like, she's just private. She's a private person. She's broke, or she doesn't want to like buy weed, but she's happy to smoke some, no problem. But afterwards, Stephen was like, dude, she cost us so much more money in food, in drinks, in buying like stuff for the house. And the whole time she was just using us.
Do you know what, Tess? You know what you had in your house? You had a professional squatter. You thought you and Stephen had a renter. You actually had a person who's like, okay, I'll pay like 1 or 2 weeks rent, and then I won't pay rent for ages till they start asking about it. And once they do, I can live here for 6 weeks or 8 weeks because she probably does this lot and get the fuck out of there and stuff. That's what she had. That's what she's done.
So, only because we know, and him and I, like afterwards, because the first day that we realized she wasn't going to come back, we started looking online for like rentals and for people that had like on Reddit as well. Reddit can be such a good like place to do research sometimes, especially for like local research. And we had found a thread where we think it's her that was looking for a room in a place right around the corner on the drive. And him and I both saw her walking, and we're like, hey Jenna, and she just walked right by like she didn't know us, like never knew us. Separately and together, with the dog and with my cat in my fucking backpack. How do you not recognize us? We're your old landlords and roommates. We have smoked weed together. We fucking done our hair together. We dyed our hair together, bro. Like, you recognize me. And we walked by like, hey Jenna, how's it going? Almost like after the situation happened, we were like, no hard feelings. Like almost, you know what? You're a fucked person. and we ran into her. We're like, what are we going to do? Fuck you. Kick her on the street? No. We went the other way and we were like, you know what? Hey, girl, how's it going? And she just walked right by like she didn't know us whatsoever. And we were like, that was the moment. Him and I were like, fuck that person and fuck every other roommate in a weird way. I know you live alone now for multiple reasons, but similarly, like after that whole COVID situation and going through the end of the move, which I'll finish my story with my friend Steven, kind of got into a little bit of a spiral, being off work, laid off of UBC and school and stuff. And he ended up like doing like GHB often and like ketamine and like weird like low dose, or what's it called, not uppers, downer drugs. And I'd be like, what is going on? And he'd be like, you want some G? I'm like, we have to paint the apartment to move. Like, I don't really want to do G, and I don't ever want to do G, but like I don't want to do G, especially when I'm painting the house. We have like a whole house to paint before we move out. Like, I don't really want to do G right now, or ketamine. Like, this is not what I'm thinking we should do. Maybe like let's have a beer and like do some painting.
Yes, exactly. Wait, so look, from what you said before when you saw Jenna walking and stuff, look, you both did the nice thing where you're like, you know, this chick owes us rent. Any other person were like, fuck you, man, you ripped us off. We had to clean that room, blah, blah, blah. But you felt so bad that they were in that position because you're just a nice person, that you even went and said hello and they still ignored you. But you know what? That's on them. That's their insecurities. They obviously do this a lot, and that's something they have to work out on their own. They're choosing to do that. So she probably felt really embarrassed that you and Stephen were really nice about it. You did say hello, and that enough was punishment for her or what's that, because she's like, wow, these are really good people and I fucked them over. Huh?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of the validating factor for me. I'm like, I want to kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make sure that she knows that we're, and we would have accepted if she said, look, I'm sorry, I had an anxiety attack, I couldn't afford my rent, I had to move out somewhere else, whatever. Like, you know what, I'm sorry that I fucked you guys over. She even could have said, hey, and walked by. Like, we would have been like, you know what, fuck, we've all been there. And Steven and I had been there many times in our lives. Like, we've struggled to have our pets and keep our places, never been homeless, never fucked anybody else over in that sense. But we were like willing to say, like, you know, bury the hatchet. But the fact that she walked right by us and acted like she didn't know us, and we had the dog with us, and the dog knew her. The dog was like going to her, like he knows his roommate. So, and she was like, oh, like I acted like she didn't know us, and I was like, fuck you. That's the end. You act like you don't know the fucking dog. He knows you. We already recognize you. You recognize us. You can pretend you don't recognize us. If we didn't have the dog with us, that would have been easier. But we had the dog with us, and he fucking knows it's you. There's no way you can say it's not us. And we were like, hey, Jenna, with her actual name, and no response. Like, you're a psychopath. And I just don't want to put myself out for anybody else, not for a boss that shows his dick to me, not for a roommate that's going to fuck me over. Like, it becomes cynical in your 30s. I feel like you're like so nice in your 20s, and you're like open, you want to be. Then you kind of like learn a little bit more with your cynicism and all the problems you've gone through in your life to be like, you know what, I need to rethink all the situations that I'm putting myself into going forward now. And I got followed home the other day just on a commercial drive at 3:00 p.m. by a very sketchy dude. Like, I was smoking weed in the park. This guy followed me home all the way. He tried to chase me all the way down Commercial Drive in Vancouver at 3:00 in the afternoon. And because I'm like aware enough, I was smoking weed. He could have come and asked me for a light, for a toke, for a cigarette, for anything over the 20-minute period I was out there smoking a joint. He never once approached me until I started to walk down home. And then he started to follow me, jaywalk in front of cars to get to me across the other side of the street, and chase me down an alley. Like, you imagine me, Sonny, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm gonna duck behind this garbage bin and rock this guy before he even gets close to my apartment building. But 3:00 in the afternoon, in my 30s, I was aware enough to look around and know this guy was following me. But if I was 25, I'd been like, hey, do you need a smoke? Do you need something? What's your problem? Maybe I would have talked to him. But like, you learn a little bit about like life experience and like why we're a little bit more skeptical about dealing with new people from any apartment ad, any interaction. I'm just like very sketchy now.
Look, I know you're a really tough. First of all, I know you're a really tough person, just in general. But you do got to watch out with, even though you're a tough person, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Vancouver, and it's a man following you. Even though you can probably look after yourself, sometimes just go somewhere, ask for help, because you just never know. Just that's my advice for you of being a friend, and just in general, I'd say that to anyone. Secondly, yeah, with the gender thing, I'm the same as you. I'm very similar. I always give people the benefit of doubt as I got into my 30s as well. I'm just a little bit more cautious now, where in my 20s, I see the best in everyone. And I'm like, no, they won't fuck me over. They're really nice. I had a good conversation with them. Maybe they're going through something, you know? And people, unfortunately, that are like that, like me and you, they know, they target us because we're naive sometimes, because they're like, oh, this Tess and Sunny, they're really nice people. They believe in me. I've met a lot of people like this. Cool, I can live here for 6 weeks with them, buying food all the time, sharing the alcohol, because they're a nice person. We're easy targets. So we don't need to change who we are. Yeah. The difference is we just see the signs before it gets to that point, and we go, okay, I've been through this before. I'm still not being judgmental, but I'm just being very aware now. Yeah. So that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being there. You don't need to change who you are. You shouldn't, because it's nice to be nice. There needs to be more nice people in this world more than being judgmental. I always say I'd rather someone fuck me over than for me to be judgmental. The difference is, in my mind, I'm like, that person who fucked me over, deep down, I believe everyone's a good person, and they'll walk away and go, fuck, man, that Sunny guy tried to help me. I fucked him over. So what? You know what I mean? I hope that lesson will teach them to not do it again to someone, because that guilt that they'll feel will just be like, wow, I don't want to fuck over good people. That's my motto. Maybe I'm a little bit naive with that, but that's how I kind of want to go through life. Just to add something into your story with the housemate, which I don't think you know this, and I'll do this before we end the show. That was the end of your story, right? I don't want you to cut you off there. Yeah. So to add in for your true tall tale before we finish this episode is, it made me think when I used to live with, I used to be best friends with 3 brothers. I'm still friends with them. Not like back then, but it was a long time ago. But I used to be best friends with 3 brothers, and I moved into the city with 2 of the brothers because they got a big house, like you said. So they got a big house. One of the brothers' girlfriends lived there, and one of the other brother. Let me start that again. I lived with 2 brothers, yeah, and the other guy that lived in the house was the brother's girlfriend's boyfriend. Does that make sense for the listeners and you? I'm probably making it. Yeah. So the brother's girlfriend, yeah, she doesn't live there, but her boyfriend lives there, yeah. And he was older, and he was from Germany. I'm not going to say the name because I think one of them listens to this podcast. Anyway, we lived in this house, and I have a lot of respect for this family. The whole family of the brothers, I'm obsessed, like not obsessed with, but I love the brothers, the sisters, and the mum. I was just very close to them. And they were always so good to me. Cut the story short, the German guy lived in the house as well, and he's the one that got the house. He was a lot older than me as well. But anyway, he had this not obsession with me, but like he was just so interested in like my life and like controlled me. But like, I have no relation to you. You're not my family member. You're not my brother. You're not my dad. You're not my boss. You're just I live with the 2 brothers as well. You're dating their sister, and I'm close to the family. That's the only relationship that we had, if that makes sense. And he was kind of mean. He was kind of mean to me when I was at the house one-on-one with him, the way that he spoke to me. But when the brothers were there at the house, he would act really nice to me. So when that happens to you in real time, you're kind of like, hang on a minute.
You're like the crazy person.
Really, yeah. And you get scared because you don't want to, because I didn't want to mention anything to the brothers and go, hey, like, he's really mean to me behind closed doors because it's starting trouble and I don't really like drama or anything, but you're going through it. So you're like, do I say anything? Do I don't? Anyway, I was mentioning it to like Ainsley, some of my friends that you know back in Sydney and stuff, saying, hey, this German guy that's living with us, he's really, really mean to me. I did mention it to one of the brothers. I was like, look, because I'm best friends with them. I'm like, hey, he's really mean. They're like, really? I don't see it. I'm like, no, when you guys are home, he doesn't do it in front of you guys. So the biggest thing that ever happened, and this is where it's like, this is how I ended up moving out. I'm not even joking. You'll feel so sorry for me. Anyway, we had a cleaning roster. As you know, I just like being clean in general. I probably wasn't as clean as I was back then because I was young, and you're just not as clean when you're in your early 20s. And he made a roster, you know, I clean the bathroom on Sundays, someone cleans it on Saturdays, and what you go color court. Very good when you live in a house with 4 people, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, it was my day, I think, on the Sunday to clean the bathroom, which is fine. But on that Saturday night, he had one of his friends over, and his friend vomited all in the bath, up the wall in the bath and stuff, and all the vomit was left in the bath, if that makes sense. If part of cleaning Rossa bathroom is just normal, you clean the shower, you clean the bath, like everyone hates doing bathroom cleaning. But if your friend vomited in the bathroom, I think housemate etiquette is that your friend should clean it, or you clean it on behalf of your friend.
Yes.
So that's not my friend's vomit, right?
Yes.
So
yes. Oh
I wake up and he opens the door and goes, "What day is it today, Sonny? It's your day for cleaning the bathroom, and the bathroom hasn't been cleaned, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. You're still sleeping." I'm like, "Bro, I went out last night. Like, I know it's my day for cleaning the bathroom. I will clean the bathroom when you clean all your friends' vomit up." And he goes, "That's not my job." I said, "It is your job, because it's not my job to clean someone else's vomit when it's your best friend who vomited all in the bath." And he goes, "That's not how it works." And it was really German and very serious, and you don't know if he's being serious or if he's joking. I was a bit concerned. Anyway,
Really, sorry to Germans, but they do talk like that a bit. But yeah. It's also, are you being funny, or are you doing it as I have to go clean the bathroom right now? Are you serious that your friend vomited and I need to deal with this?
So I think I had a pretty good, valid point where I was like, I will clean the bathroom when you clean up your friend's vomit in the bath. I don't think that's part of my duties to clean it. So he opens the door and he goes, "Bathroom, your color, Sunday, you clean it now." Anyway, he goes into my room, he grabs me by the neck, and he drags me. I'm like, this guy's really muscly, by the way. He's really built. And he drags me, but I'm laughing because I was kind of
getting attacked.
Well, I was getting attacked and nervous, but laughing am I getting abused right now? So I'm like, get off me, love. I'm like, you're an idiot, get off me. And he grabs me and he actually takes me all the way and puts me in the bathroom and then opens the door again, because I thought he was joking, and chucks all the bucket and the cleaning stuff in there and then shuts it and then leans on the door so I can't get out. And I'm like, and he goes, "I'm not going to let you out of the bathroom till you clean it." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to clean it. You can sit there all day." And he goes, "I can sit here all day." And I'm like, the brothers aren't home, by the way. So I'm now left at home with a roommate of mine, the German guy who's dating the brother's girlfriend, who's locked me in the bathroom and said he won't let me out till I clean the bathroom. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. He sat there for ages, Tess. I literally had to clean the bathroom.
Wait, did you call your other roommates?
No, because I didn't have my phone. He locked me in the bathroom. He was holding the door.
Oh my God. So did your roommates finally fucking believe you? Because I just got locked in the fucking bathroom by this fucking psycho for 4 hours or however long. How long are you going to fucking be there?
I forget how long it was, but I ended up cleaning the bathroom and then I walked out, and then it was kind of like I was like a child. I was like, all my emotion was gone. I was just like, get the fuck. I said, never touch me again. Get away from me. And had a shower. And he goes, "It wasn't that hard, was it?" And I'm just like, who are you? You're not my brother. You're not my dad. Get off me. I just pay rent here the same as you. Anyway, so that was my final straw. I ended up telling the brothers, and they're like, "That is not okay." I think they spoke to him. It got to the point, this is how long ago it was, but I used to go, internet cafes were a thing. So I used to go to King's Cross Internet Cafe. Every time I finished work in hospitality, I told my friend Ainsley this, I would literally go to the internet cafe till 1 o'clock in the morning and sit there on the internet on MSN or something. And then I would come home because I knew because I didn't want any interaction of him being there, because that's how scared I was of him. Cut the story short, how I ended up leaving is I told people it's Ainsley and I were walking up my street to go somewhere, and all we heard was, "Sonny! Sonny!" And she was like, "Who's yelling at you?" And he was across the road, and he'd done shopping at Woolies, and he's like, "How dare you walk past the car and see me with shopping and not offer to help? You're the worst person in the world, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "That is not okay. He's yelling at you on the street. You do not have to help him with the shopping. You did not see him. You need to move out of there now." So because people
she's right.
Feel like you're the problem, because I'm good like that. I would never want to hurt someone's feelings. If I did something bad, please approach me. And she's like, "This is not okay. You're actually thinking you're the issue and you have the problem." So anyway, I ended up moving out based on all those examples and more of them. And the brothers ended up moving out, I think 2 weeks later. and called me and said, yeah, you're not crazy. The German guy was using one of the brother's girlfriend's toothbrush, because you know how you have an electric toothbrush and you can take off the head? He was buying heads and using her, like, you know, the motor of the electric toothbrush. And and the brother was like, are you using my girlfriend's electric toothbrush? And he's like, technically not. I'm buying my own heads. He's like, please don't do that. That's like, I know. So that's when they're like, all right, this guy's a little bit crazy.
That's disgusting. I said, I know how you feel about oral care, so I'm sure that we do the fuck out.
Oh, dude, and they were just little examples. So the brothers always believe me, but when it was like happening to them, because I'm gone now, right? I moved out, then it's like, okay, this guy's not okay. So he was just really controlling. And sometimes when you live with housemates, like I said to you, the relationship is you don't have authority of me to make me do, like, you know what I mean? Like, stop talking to me that way. He'd also put me down in front of people. Like, if I had girls that come over, he's like, oh, how rude are you not to offer them a red wine? And he's like, do you want a red wine, ladies? Like, Sonny's he's such a, like, he has no manners at all for women, blah, 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 and all these things. I'm like, bro, these are my friends. You're talking down about me in front of my friends. You don't even know them, and you're trying to schmooze them. Like, and they'll just be like, this guy's creepy. Like, he's talking to you so rudely. Even they felt it. Like, he's at your housemate. Why does he speak to you that way? I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. And then he used to wake me up every Sunday and try to get me to play soccer with him in the park. I'm like, bro, I don't play soccer. This is my one day off. I've been out all night. Like, leave me alone. Like, please just leave me alone. Like, so that was a weird.
I went to the internet to avoid you. Now I have to go and play soccer with you? Get the fuck away from me. Are you kidding me?
I know. But you know what? You learn from that. I think it's good for everyone I think every human should live with housemates because it teaches you a lot about yourself. Like I said to you, I was in my early 20s. There's things I could have done better and stuff like that. But you learn about that by living with other people and respect. And it takes time. And then you respect other people's needs. And communications is a big key. And, you know, I think I become a perfect housemate after that.
A lot about your heart and who you are as a person when you're living with other people. So like you said, I wouldn't take back any of my roommate experiences, even the shitty ones, even the ones that cost me like thousands of dollars, because I feel like what I wanted to provide for the roommates, like Jenna, and for other people that had dogs or like had like circumstances that I needed during COVID, I don't regret any of that. But I do think that I learned. I also had a roommate once that treated me very oddly, same way that he treated you. Your roommate, your German one, he just always would be like, why are you walking by? Why do you need to sweep the floor every day? He would always just like give me little comments like, well, why are you going out for a smoke in the middle of the night? Haven't you smoked already? Like, just weird stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, you're a roommate and you pay me rent. I'm your landlord. You don't judge me for what I'm doing. But like, so I know what it feels like when you have roommates that like kind of get up your ass for no way. I'm like a fairly vibe sensitive person and like very empathetic, and so are you. So I feel like when you get strangled and dragged to a fucking bathroom, for a minute you do think you're almost giving them the benefit of the doubt in the moment where you know that you're not physically okay. But it only takes a few times like that to be put in those positions to actually learn, like, no, this isn't. And like your friend Ainsley said when you guys were walking by and he was loading groceries into the car, like, that is something that's like out of public, and it sometimes it's in public, and it takes somebody that's outside of the actual situation to call it out in a way that you already know is wrong. But it's having somebody else voice that's part of your life. And so a lot of times, like, that was the kind of thing where we would talk about it as roommates in between the house and be like, I don't want to go like vent about this to my boss or my manager because they're my friend or somebody I see all the time. But when I did, they'd be like, that's fucking nuts. Like, you can't deal with that. Like, that is not normal. And it would take me somebody from my outside to remind me that that is not actually normal, because you get so desensitized to your current situation. So I feel like that's one thing with roommates, but with my bar story too, in hospitality culture, in dating, in anything. Like, you get desensitized until you talk to somebody outside of your normal everyday existence, and their perspective from somebody that you trust and that loves you is so valuable. People forget.
No, you're right. And Ainsley was like, you need to get out of here now. And you're right. It was, and I did, as soon as because I normalized it, right? Because I was respecting, his girlfriend was the brother's sister, and I respect her so much. She was so good to me. So I didn't want to upset anyone because I respected the brother's family. I respected the sister, and unfortunately, he was the boyfriend dating the sister. So I was just like an outsider because he's dating into the family. I'm friends with the family. So it was just, the whole situation was weird. I was just young. And as I got older, I'm like, okay, that was not okay. That was not okay. And look, the brothers are so good. Once I told them over time and they saw it for the first time, they were like, this is not okay. This is really weird. They believed me. It wasn't like no one believed me. It's just no one has seen it. And I think when people started to see it, that's when they're like, okay, you are not exaggerating. And as soon as Ainsley said, like you said as well, like, you need to get the fuck out of there now. This is not okay. He is yelling at you in public, in the street, in front of me. He doesn't care that I'm here. Like, she goes, this is like abusive behavior. This is like, yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is bad, isn't it? She goes, yes, she's yelling at you. Who is he?
Friend. I bet you your brother's, the girl that was dating him, that was your brother's sister, your friend's, your friend's brother's sister. I bet you she could fill a fucking podcast about that shit that he did to her. Because there is no way that he did that to you, a random stranger, and wasn't controlling like that in the girlfriend's relationship with him.
Oh, like, 100%. Yeah.
That scares me in a way that when you meet people like that, I'm like, okay, you could be crazy enough to me. I'm a random third party. Like you're a random third party. You're like a roommate that is of a brother of a friend of the brother of the sister that he's dating. Like, you're so far removed from being actually, like, you're like a fourth party. So if he's going to abuse you, what do you think he's doing to his first level and the second level and the third level and the fourth level? He's willing to drag you physically. I bet you he'd beat her.
Oh, I hope not, because she's not with him now. They're such a nice family, but yeah, we don't know. This is so long ago as well. Like, this is just my perspective of like what I went through. Kind of didn't really speak about it, and then I spoke about it on another podcast where we're talking about the worst housemates, and that triggered me. So that's triggering you now, talking about your housemate that you had, and that memory always goes to me as one of my housemates. Like, wow, like, that's not normal life, and I went through that. But everyone has. There's like a Netflix show at the moment called Worst Housemates. Like, it's a normal thing.
You don't know at the moment, which is such a weird thing. You don't know it in the moment. I thought that was normal. I thought that was like, okay, somebody just fucking eats things and throws them on the wall. I was like, what the fuck? That's very fucked up. But maybe she's going through something. Maybe whatever. Yeah. And I just never thought, like, no, she's just using me. It took me so fucking long to realize that she was, like, probably depressed and probably going through a bunch of shit. But that couldn't be helped by me. We already provided her a safe living space and somewhere she could be and heal and do whatever. If she's not going to heal and do that there and still abuse us and throw her fucking happy food against the wall and her whole drinks, just like throw them. It's almost like she wanted to make a mess. And so that is like, it's intentional. That's what's not forgivable. If you like have had a bad situation or you're going through stuff in your life and you feel apologetic about it, whatever. I don't think she feels apologetic. I hope she does, because you said it earlier in the pod. You were like, maybe after you guys were giving her the kindness and saying hi, and like, I really don't think, I think she was like, those two fuckers, I fucked them over. Like, I'm pretty sure when she walked by us, she was like, fuck them. I'm not going to act like I know them. They're stupid. They let me in their house. Like, that, it's that perspective that makes me cynical as a person, because I'm like, you know what? We're trying to give you always, even in our 20s, 30s, whatever, even people that are old, people get nicer when they get older in a way. You've been through so much, you get cynical for a while, then you become like a senior, and seniors are so forgiving and so lovely, and they're like, you know what? I've lived a whole life. I've seen things that you've seen. I've been through it. Give grace. Apologize for any of your circumstances or any mistakes that you've been through, but give grace always. I highly doubt that German guy and this Jenna chick are going to have the grace for people like you and I. They're going to keep abusing people and keep using people, because some people are like that and some don't grow from it,
Yeah. Well, listeners, if you've got some crazy housemate stories that you had when you were growing up, or you're in that situation right now, please reach out to truetalktalespodcast@gmail.com or any of the socials. I'd love to hear your bad housemate stories that we can put on the show. But Tess, thank you so much for coming back on. The listeners love you. I love you. And thank you for your great True Talk Tales. You can come back anytime. I always leave that invitation open for you. I love your house houseplants. The sun looks amazing. Look like an angel right now. My name is Sunny Boy. Her name is Tess. Thank you for coming on the show again. Clap, 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 clap. Guys, thank you so much for listening to True Tall Tales, and we'll see you soon, Tess. We love you, Vancouver. We love you. Bye. See you soon. One thing I do on the show now, Tess, is I always say a nice quote at the end or a statement just to put some more positive in the world, because there's so much bad shit happening right now. So I'll say one and then you can say one. One I'll say right now is just try your hardest every day. I try my hardest every day, and it makes my life a better place, and it makes the world a better place, where if I can make one person smile every day or do something nice for someone, it's just that energy. You can feel it, and it's good. Tess, you got anything to say positive before you go?
It would say give grace, as I kind of said a few minutes ago. Give people grace. It's a word that is unique in a way. Give everybody grace in your life. If it could be later on or in the moment, or give everyone grace. It's an underused word. It's very similar to grit, but grit and grace are very different. So I would say work with grit, live your life with grit, but also give grace when you have the opportunity to give.
Perfect. We love that. I love that. Thank you so much for your nice statement and quote. My name's Sunny Boy. Her name is Tess, and you're watching and listening to Triple T. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.